Patrick Willis was the most terrifying linebacker on the planet. A man so physically gifted, so instinctively violent, so relentlessly dominant.
Today we got a fight on our hands, baby. We got a fight on our hands. How bad do we want it? How bad do we want it? Real bad. Hey, let's go, baby. Start the finish, baby, fast. Start the finish, fast.
He made 7 Pro Bowls and 5 first-team All-Pros. He was the anchor of one of the most fearsome defenses in NFL history. And he did all of it before the age of 30. But here's what makes Patrick Willis truly remarkable. It's not just the accolades. It's not just the highlights. It's not just the grueling hits. It's where he came from. So how good was Patrick Willis actually? To understand that, you have to go back to the very beginning of a not-so-easy story to tell. Most NFL stars grow up in tough circumstances. Patrick Willis grew up in a different category entirely. Willis was born in Brewston, Tennessee, a tiny, rural, close-knit community most people have never heard of and never will. His family life during his childhood was far from perfect. From the time Willis was just 4 years old and onward, his mother Loretta was absent from the household. This left his father Ernest to raise Patrick and his younger siblings alone. The family eventually relocated, looking for a better life, but things didn't get better. They got substantially worse. Ernest created a traumatic household. He was an abusive alcoholic. There were days with no food and no heat. Patrick and his siblings were essentially on their own, which forced Patrick to work full-time and to take care of his siblings at a young age. But here's where fate intervened. A high school basketball coach at Brewston Central High School by the name of Chris Finley saw something in Willis that Patrick had yet to see in himself. And rather than simply coach him, Finley did something extraordinary. He took Patrick and his siblings in, gave them a home, gave them structure, gave them a future. That decision didn't just save Patrick Willis's life. It gave the NFL one of its greatest players of all time. From that moment on, Willis attacked football the way only a kid who understood real hunger could. He wasn't playing for a scholarship. He wasn't playing for highlights. He was playing because football was the one place in his life where he had complete and total control. And when Patrick Willis got control, nobody could take it from him. As a 3-star recruit, Willis took his ferocity to Oxford, Mississippi, where he suited up for the Ole Miss Rebels. And right away, it was clear this was not a normal football player. As a freshman, he was already turning heads. By his sophomore year, he was the most feared defender in the SEC, which, if you know anything about college football, is definitely saying something. But it was his junior and senior seasons where Willis went from great prospect to generational talent. During his junior year in 2005, he racked up tackles at a historic pace, 128 tackles to be exact. He blew up run plays before they developed. He dropped into coverage with the instincts of a safety and the closing speed of a sprinter. And at the end of the season, his efforts were rewarded by being named the SEC Defensive Player of the Year. In 2006, Willis led the SEC in tackles again, passing his previous year's total with 137 tackles during his final collegiate campaign. Patrick won the prestigious Butkus Award, given annually to the best linebacker in college football. He was a unanimous All-American. Ole Miss hadn't seen anything like him. The SEC hadn't seen anything like him. And frankly, neither had the NFL. Because when scouts turned on the tape of Patrick Willis, they didn't see a college linebacker. They saw a problem that needed to be solved, and nobody had the answer. In the 2007 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers selected Patrick Willis 11th overall.
The San Francisco 49ers select Patrick Willis.
And let's be honest, the 49ers weren't exactly a glamour franchise at that point. They were coming off a 7-9 season. They were rebuilding. They needed a cornerstone. And they should give themselves a pat on the back because they sure did get one. From the jump, Willis made it clear that the NFL transition was not going to be an adjustment period. It was going to be his anointing. And anyone who doubted whether the 11th pick was worth it got their answer in week 1 and never asked again. Patrick impressed with 11 tackles and a forced fumble against the Arizona Cardinals. In his rookie season, he led the entire NFL with 174 tackles. Yes, you heard correctly. A 22-year-old rookie led every single player in the league in tackles. He was named Defensive Rookie of the Year, and he was voted to the Pro Bowl. Teammates were stunned. Opponents were shaken. But here's the thing about Patrick Willis. The tackles were just the surface. What made him truly special was his combination of instincts and athleticism that simply should not exist in the same human body. He was 6 feet 1 inch, 240 pounds, and ran a 4.56 40. He could read a quarterback's eyes from 15 yards away. He could redirect mid-play in a way that defied physics. The 49ers didn't just get a linebacker. They got a defensive engine. At the end of year 2, Willis had gone to back-to-back Pro Bowls and was named first-team All-Pro. By 2009, the conversation had already shifted from "Is Willis good?" to "Is Willis the best linebacker in football?" What separated Willis from every other linebacker of his era was complete dominance in every single phase of linebacker play. He stopped the run as well as anyone in NFL history. He rushed the passer with relentless energy. He covered tight ends and running backs in space as if they were standing still. He never came off the field. Offensive coordinators had to account for him on every single play, every formation, every down and distance. That kind of gravitational pull on a defense is impossible to overstate. And Willis wore it all with a quiet brutality that his teammates fed off of. He wasn't a trash talker. He wasn't a showman. He just hit people over and over. He hit them so hard and so precisely and so consistently that by the time he was 25 years old, the question wasn't if he was currently the best linebacker in the game. The question was if he was the best to ever do it. Willis's career was off to a smooth start, but then came the chaos. The 49ers were cycling through coaches. His first head coach, Mike Nolan, was out. Next up was Mike Singletary, and then he was out as well. The roster around Willis was inconsistent, and despite his individual brilliance, the team was going nowhere fast. For lesser players, this kind of organizational dysfunction derails and destroys careers. But Willis did something remarkable. He kept getting better. Every single year, regardless of the record, regardless of the coaching staff, regardless of the scheme, Patrick Willis was a first-team All-Pro, year after year after year, from 2009 through 2012. But the turbulence wasn't just external. The physical toll of playing the way Willis played, full speed, full contact, zero hesitation, was beginning to quietly accumulate. It was the kind of nagging injuries that don't make headlines, but chip away at elite athletes over time. Then Jim Harbaugh arrived in 2011, and everything changed. Harbaugh brought discipline. He brought structure. He brought a defensive identity that was built almost literally around and for Patrick Willis. Suddenly, the 49ers weren't just a team with a great linebacker. They were a defensive juggernaut. They went 13-3 and earned a trip to the NFC Championship game. Willis had the platform his talent always deserved, and he delivered. The 2011 through 2013 stretch was Willis operating at the absolute apex of his powers. San Francisco's defense was historically dominant. They suffocated offenses week after week. They led the league in points allowed. And Willis was the heartbeat of all of it, the conductor of a defense that also featured Navarro Bowman, Aldon Smith, and Justin Smith. But don't let the depth around him fool you. Patrick was the standard that everyone else calibrated to. And then came the 2012 season. The 49ers went 11-4 and won, then proceeded to roll through the playoffs. They knocked off the Packers. They knocked off the Falcons. And then they found themselves one win away from hoisting the Lombardi Trophy. Super Bowl 47, the Har Bowl, San Francisco 49ers versus the Baltimore Ravens in New Orleans at the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. Willis, who had come from nothing, who had fought for everything, was on the biggest stage the sport could offer. The game was a war. The 49ers trailed by 22 points in the third quarter. Baltimore looked like they were going to coast to a ring. Then luckily for the 49ers, the lights literally went out. And when they came back on over 30 minutes later, San Francisco came roaring back to within 3 points in the fourth quarter. They had the ball at the Ravens' 5-yard line with under 2 minutes to go. They ran 4 plays and sadly walked away with no touchdown. The Ravens held on, 34-31, And Patrick Willis, one of the greatest players of his generation, walked off the field without a ring. It remains one of the most gut-wrenching near misses in Super Bowl history. The body was sending signals. Willis was trying not to listen. He suffered a toe injury in 2013, then a more serious toe injury in 2014. And for a player whose entire game was built on explosive first-step quickness and sideline-to-sideline range, a foot that wouldn't cooperate wasn't just an inconvenience. It was a legitimate threat to everything that made him Patrick Willis. He played through it. He taped it up and went out there, because that's what you do when football is the thing that gave you a way out. You don't quit, you don't slow down, you play. But by mid-season, 2014, the toe had deteriorated badly enough that Willis was forced to get season-ending surgery. And as he sat and watched and thought, he arrived at a conclusion that would shock the football world. After 8 seasons, on March 10, 2015, Patrick Willis retired. He was only 30 years old. In a sport where players routinely grind themselves into the ground, chasing one more year, one more contract, one more chance at a championship, Willis simply walked away, on his own terms, while he could literally still walk. And honestly, it was the most Patrick Willis thing he could have done. Because from the very beginning, this was never about the money or the fame or the validation. It was about something deeper. Something that a kid from Brewston, Tennessee, who didn't always know where his next meal was coming from, understood better than almost anyone. At that point, he had proved everything he needed to prove. In his retirement speech, Willis broke down. The room fell silent, and he talked about his siblings. He talked about Coach Finley. He thanked the people who saved him before football ever could. On February 8, 2024, by no surprise to anybody, Patrick Willis was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in his 5th year of eligibility. So how good was Patrick Willis actually? Here's the answer. In an 8-year career cut short by injury, he was named to 7 Pro Bowls and 5 first-team All-Pros. He was named Defensive Rookie of the Year and led the entire NFL in tackles as a rookie. He totaled 950 tackles, 60 tackles for loss, 20.5 sacks, and 16 forced fumbles for his career. From the time he stepped on the field until the time he stepped off it, he never stopped being the best linebacker out there. He played in a Super Bowl. He anchored a dynasty-level defense. He was the most complete linebacker of his generation, and depending on who you ask, the most complete to ever lace him up. Yet none of that is the real answer. The real answer is this. Patrick Willis came from places and experiences that are hard to come from, where the odds are stacked so high against you that most people never even try to climb them. And Willis didn't just climb them, he ascended through them, at full speed, the same way he did everything. That's how good Patrick Willis was. If you enjoyed this video and are looking for more of the best NFL content, be sure to like and subscribe.